don't pick that life picked you. Welcome to Sit Down News, and before I begin, I'd like to mention our sponsor. Ratchet is a clothing company from the UK started by a young man with a vision, a dream, and determination. They have various prints and styles for men, women, and children. I'll include a link to their website down below in the description for this video. All right, questions and answers. Let's get started. Can a member be allowed to live outside New York? They can, but they would have to get permission. The former Colombo Consigliere, Thomas Farice, lived in Florida, and he did so while he had the position. What's the difference between a boss and a street boss? A street boss is usually put in place when a boss is locked up. It's an acting position. But with families like the West Side, the Genovese family, they'll put a street boss in place to insulate the real boss. Because Vito Guzzo was made in prison, do you think the Colombos will do it over? I assume they mean induct him over once he gets to the street. I don't believe that they're going to do it over. As Joe DiNapoli said, the Colombos are used to doing things like this, and they've done it in the past. Do you think guys in the street will actually not recognize him? Again, I'm going to say no, because when Vito gets out, he'll be introduced as a friend, as a member in that life, and no one's going to question that. So just to be clear on Vito Guzzo, as far as that life goes, Vito Guzzo deserves to be in that life. Unfortunately, that's a decision he already made. In my personal opinion, I think this was the wrong choice with Vito. I think that he should have got out, enjoyed his life, and stayed away from this. If you were being introduced to a friend in another family, would that member's captain be mentioned in the introduction? The answer is no. There's no reason to mention his captain. What is mentioned, obviously, is his name, what family he belongs to, and if he has a position, what position he has. A longtime supporter of the channel asked me a question. I think it was a very good question. He remembered me mentioning that Ernie Grillo at one time was shelved and assaulted. He asked, do they send made guys to do an assault, or is that farmed out to people he don't know? I honestly don't know who they sent, but they could send whoever they want. If they want them to carry out an assault, they could send friends, inducted members, they could send associates, they could send anybody they want. He also asked a good follow-up question. Are the people who commit the assault protected from retaliation when Ernie comes off the shelf? Well, first, when Ernie was assaulted, he was already on the shelf and he was no longer considered a member at that point. So let me explain. When a person gets straightened out, when they're inducted, any old beefs that they may have prior to that die that day. Cosa Nostra is not about getting revenge on people and using that to get revenge. And Ernie is fully aware of that, so when they did take him off the shelf, he knew he had to put that assault behind him. I get a lot of questions from people asking me if I missed a life or if I speak to anyone in the life. I've heard former members, guys that were actually inducted in the life, say that if anyone tells you that they don't miss that life, they're full of shit. With that being said, we all have the right to our own opinion. For me personally, saying that I missed that life would be like a cancer patient in remission saying that they missed cancer. As to me speaking to former members in that life, my answer again is, I am on parole. I cannot speak to anyone who is a convicted felon. The person wrote that he never understood about going on the lam, basically not understanding the principle behind going on the lam. The reason you go on the lam is to avoid being arrested. That's obvious. The point is, hopefully enough time goes by where you could learn either the state's case, if it's a state case, or the government's case, if it's a federal case, what they have on you. Another reason is witnesses usually after some time forget the statements that they initially made, and that's to your benefit. I received a lot of questions about whether newly inducted members consider Vicar Musso their boss, and if they still kick up to him. First of all, Vicar Musso is the official boss of the Lucchese family. It doesn't matter whether he's in prison or not, he's still the boss. And any money that a newly inducted member is kicking up, a percentage of that is going to Vic. So yes, they will be kicking up to Vic. I want to say I have a big interview coming up, and I think you're really going to enjoy this, so stay tuned for that. I want to thank everyone who posted questions, continue to ask your questions. If you like this episode, you can hit the like button if you want. You can subscribe to the Sit Down News blog at sitdownnews.com, and I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. Thank you. Well, just another example in the mob you never knew about. Hope you enjoyed the story. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, you can do so down below. If you would like to subscribe to my other channel, Unlimited Substance Podcast, I'll add a link in the description to this video.